Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. We have an update to a spoiler story that involves a contestant from this season of Bachelor in Paradise and where they may be in their relationship. We've been reporting on the story for several weeks now. I can't believe I'm still calling this a spoiler, but this is your chance to leave the conversation if you don't know on it. I mean, if you're not spoiled at this point, like, you are doing the Lord's work. But we're going to get into it in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so Nick Viall, large podcaster, small YouTuber, Nick Viall, comments on the potential relationship between Greg Grippo and Victoria Fuller. He says he doesn't believe there was any cheating that was involved, but he does provide some key information that might further go on the timeline. I'm sure Bachelor Data is putting together her whole flowchart here, but he provides some key information that Greg and Victoria had met before Nick's girlfriend's birthday party in late August, which makes the timeline stretch a little bit farther. But he has a source. We'll share what other sources have said, and we'll get into all of that. Follow me on Instagram at DNeals. I'm going to be going live on Patreon later today, patreon.com/Dave Neal. And also, I am going to be on the podcast, Bachelor Rush Hour, at 5 p.m. East Coast, 2 p.m. Pacific. You're going to want to tune into that one. I'm going to have more information regarding this story. I'm going to have a little bit more. I'm still working on a few things, so we'll kind of have the full roundup on tonight's podcast. Link in the comment section. I do have to say, we like to pat ourselves on the back where we can. We're performing at 4.5 times the size of Nick's channel right now, which is great for us, small YouTubers. Of course, he's beating me with 4,500 extra subscribers. But where the real key is with Nick is that he's crushing it in the algorithm with his podcast. He's got almost 20,000 podcast ratings. I'm fully in support of that. I'm trying to look at those different business models and see how we can kind of inflame our podcast views. I mean, we just started this week. We have 185 ratings. Let's refresh and see if we have a few more. So we'll get up to 20,000 sooner or later, but we're at 185. Every rating, every review, every subscription really helps the channel out, get seen by new people. And I want, when people search Bachelor, for my dumb face to be the first thing that they see. So thank you guys in advance for all that support. Okay, let's get into this story. So here's what Nick had to say about the possible relationship between Greg and Victoria and whether or not he thinks any cheating was involved.
Greg and Victoria? Question mark? Are a potential new Bachelor couple. They've been spotted out in Italy together. There have been multiple photos and videos of them traveling abroad, which might then spoil the results of Bachelor in Paradise. Obviously, she's on the current season. People are wondering what the timeline was. Was there any sort of cheating or what the vibe is between Greg and Victoria?
Here's what we don't normally talk about unverified stories as a rule. As a reminder, we only talk about the things that people post themselves and comment on themselves. So this wouldn't fall under that category. However, I did talk to a reliable source where I feel like it is okay to make an exception to this story. That was Greg and Victoria in those photos. I mean, it was obvious. Mm-hmm. They're in Rome. Here's what I know. From the source, the source has said there was no infidelity, no cheating of any kind.
So no cheating of any kind. I'm assuming that also means no cheating, emotional cheating. And this is where it gets kind of dodgy. Now, Nick says he doesn't report on these stories, but he has a reliable source. Some people have said that I've backtracked on my source. I have 2 different sources that say that there was allegedly cheating. They were never going to provide receipts. Those sources were Bachelor alumni, Bachelor people that have been in that community, which, by the way, there's thousands of Bachelor alumni at this point, so you'll never know who it was. But some people that were close enough to say, this is what people are saying within our small community. Now, would I report on a rumor if it was just some Joe Blow on his Twitter account telling me? No, absolutely not. But because there was 2 different sources that weren't connected, it wasn't like, my sources were the twins, Justin and Joey, they both say the same thing. They were both independent sources with the same information. So I said, we're never going to get the truth. We're never going to get, cold, hard admissions, but they believe that Johnny was wronged here and that this is not going to look good for Victoria. Again, we'll see how it all plays out. Of course, Nick, his sources are probably Victoria. We've also heard from people like Zachary Reality and a few others that have spoken. I don't want to speak for Zach, but a few other Bachelor accounts have spoken directly to very close friends of Victoria, and they say there was no cheating. So, by all means, we've got one side and the other both saying different things. We'll have to see what actually went down. And the problem that we have with these types of stories is that everything is done, under this veil of spoilers, right? They can't properly say what's actually going on. They can't properly defend themselves until after the season is aired because, of course, of the spoilers, the contracts they're under. So it makes it very hard to know where the truth is until we have their conversations.
And questions around timelines and things of that nature will be discussed and answered at the appropriate time.
At the reunion?
Probably at the reunion or maybe on a podcast.
Ideally
on
this
a podcast.
So this will be very interesting if Nick has Victoria on his podcast. I'm imagining he won't have Johnny, but Nick is friends with Victoria and Greg. And look, Victoria has come off very well on Bachelor in Paradise. She does seem like a good friend to Genevieve. She was a good friend to others that have kind of gone through their battles. She seems to be in it for the right reasons. Could it be that something happened where she just knew deep down that Johnny wasn't the guy and the relationship was on the outs? Maybe they broke up and Johnny thought they were getting back together. Again, I'm not speaking for anybody. These are all the different avenues that might have gone down. Chances are we won't know the truth, but we'll be able to empathize with both sides of the story, that it really sucks. It sucks for Johnny if he thinks he's in love and trying to make it work with somebody, and then he finds out she's, in Rome with Greg Grippo. That would suck. But in the end, could it be that Greg and Victoria become a happily ever after? Maybe that could be the case. It takes you a lot of Mr. Wrongs to find Mr. Right.
Yeah, ideally on this podcast. We shall see. But that is what I was told. I don't know much more information other than that. But I am curious how this, I assume, relationship started.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think friends went to Rome.
Wow. All but confirming that they are not friends, which I think we all knew. Some people go, well, what if they were just friends and they wanted to visit the Sistine Chapel? And let me tell you something. Ain't nobody visiting the Sistine Chapel with their friends. That's something you do with your lover or when you're alone and going through some sort of heartbreak and you're in some sort of, travel, Sisterhood of the Travel Pants movie or whatever. Eat, Pray, Love. You know what I mean? That's an Eat, Pray, Love move. No one goes, hey, Joey, you want to go over there and go hang out at the Sistine Chapel? No, it doesn't happen.
But I am curious what this is now and what happened between now and then. But it sounds like we will get our answers sooner rather than later.
That is true.
If you had to bet any amount of money on the catalyst being your lovely girlfriend's birthday party, how much money would you put down on that?
I would put down a ton of money and say 0. I don't, they didn't meet there for the first time.
Yeah.
So there also nothing was going on there.
I believe him.
So
I believe that.
But like I said, I know they didn't meet there.
Yeah.
So
I believe that, but also Nick and everybody else doesn't know what Victoria and Greg's eyes know. Maybe they were making eyes. And you can't blame someone. When you talk about emotional cheating, it's like, I don't think people try to do emotional cheating. I think it's in relationships that just aren't that strong. They start looking other places, or they try to make a friend and don't realize it's emotional cheating. I think that's what emotional cheating is. Now, sometimes emotional cheating is sending a DP or flirting with it, but other times it's as simple as all right, my husband doesn't pay me enough attention, and then my coworker grazed by me at the copier, and now we're, you know what I mean? The umbrella of opportunity, and so many different things could have happened.
And nothing went on there. So whatever happened, certainly
copier.
They probably interacted. They probably talked.
The old cop a feel at the copier, right?
Talked. But if you're asking me if that was the catalyst, I would say 0%, and I would bet any amount of money on it.
Great.
And we know that they had shared flirty kind of messages. Greg has sent her messages, and she's responded Greg by going, oh. I think she was the first person to message him by going, oh, and he's been like, yo.
Do we ship them as people?
Well, I'm biased. I'm friends with both of them.
Yeah. They're both great people.
Yeah.
Objectively.
So yes, both of them. They're both very nice. Yeah.
I'm very much rooting for.
You'd probably officiate.
Oh my God,
No,
Nick is
probably
an
not.
officiant.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably not. But I'm rooting for them. I don't know much, but I'm excited to hear more, and I hope it's for the best. Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Well, there it is. And I mean, it would suck if Greg and Victoria broke up, because it's kind of like a skid mark on this whole story, right? I mean, hopefully that it took this sort of tough timeline, as we'll see it play out, for them to realize that they're each other's partners. But, that's going to be, I understand why the audience would be cynical, because that hasn't proven to be the case so far. Now, the other thing we have here is this was from today. Victoria posted this, go on and put on that dress that all the bad boys like. And then Greg Grippo commented, good girl. And people are calling it 50 Shades of Greg. So a lot of yikes and cringeworthiness. Look, saying good girl, this is perfectly fine in the private DMs. Like whatever your kink is, no shaming whatsoever. Talk dirty to each other. God knows, let me tell you something. My partner loves nothing more than when I objectify her. She'll post a status or post a photo. I'll be like, oh, babe, you look amazing, X, Y, and Z. I mean, that's just like a fun, sexy way to, stay flirty with your partner, right? Come on, I got a wife. What are you going to do? And you got to keep it fresh with that wife. Babe, you look so good. Oh my gosh, you're going to cause an accident. And if people don't like that, they don't like that. But that's up to reading the room. Now here we have this in public. Greg posted this, good girl, and then deleted it. Tater said sorry, but that's kind of hot. Well, I'm sure it's hot. So some people said agreed. Some people think it's hot. Yeah, whether it's hot or not isn't the point. The point is it's just further indication. Like, smack that on the timeline. Smack that. Remember that good old song, Smack That? Boy, I love my generation. When I'm going to be a granddad and I'm telling my kids songs, it's like, Granddaddy, tell us the song about She Hit the Flow. She hit the flow. Shorty got low. All right. Well, more of this amazing commentary on the podcast, Bachelor Rush Hour. We'll be recapping it all this afternoon. Let me know what you guys think. Find me over there. There's a link in the comment section if you guys want to download the last 3 episodes. We're going to be going daily, every single day, on your commute home or walking the dog or whatever it is you need to do. Maybe you're in some bondage situation saying good girl, whatever it is that you're doing. If you want to listen to the podcast, you know where to find it. Anywhere you find podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Google Podcasts, it's coming, all those different places. So let me know what you guys think. And friends don't go to Rome, not that I know of. We'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye.